steering wheel. Lapse the steering wheel, yeah. Give him steering wheel. Hey, steering wheel. Somebody tell him to give it to him. Come on! Whoa!
Do that, can I please? Do that hip.
How the f*** that's possible?
I'm driving like a grandma. Get that, Ralph? Did you hear me? Proper radio. Ralph, acknowledge. Now, come on, close him down and kill him. We've got a lunatic on the track. Down that mistake. I am so annoyed.
Boys and girls, your attention, please.
Hello and welcome back inside the Apart From A for, you know what this is? This is going to be exciting because it's the Canadian Grand Prix review. And you know what we do on race weekends.
We watch one, then we talk about it. Then we watch one, then we talk about it. Come on, Tom.
That's exactly what we do. We do this every weekend. We got a lot to talk about. Mercedes upgrade arrival. The Intra-Team dynamic reaches an all-new level. Russell's luck problem. Red Bull's Powertrain Milestone. McLaren at the mercy of their own calls. Hamilton Leclerc, it's a tale of two teammates, and we'll get into that. But before getting into that, I have to go introduce my guest. You know what that means. I got to go all the way south as it happens. Nestled somewhere around the Dallas-Fort Worth area where you'll find him cooking, building, blowing holes through walls, karting. You know him. It's the sporting manager for the Heart of Racing Aston Martin team at INSA. You know him, you love him.
Ripped from out of the wasteland. He's bad, he's beautiful, he's crazy.
Hello, everybody. This is Paul Charles, Lee, International.
It's Paul. How you doing, Paul?
Hey, long time no see.
I know. It's been a lot of grace.
It's been a lot of grace. Thank you, Grace.
Yes. Thank you, Grace. Very much so. So, yes, a lot of grace, a lot of downtime, but now we're back.
Yeah.
For a race review podcast. We're going to
remember how to do this thing.
I know. What do we talk about?
How do we do it? Yeah.
I don't know. I did watch Felix Rosenqvist win the Indy 500.
Yeah, that was magic, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was, yeah. I think both of you and I were like, oh, poor Malukas. I feel bad for the kid.
I feel really bad. As much as I am elated for Mike Shank and Rosenqvist, I'm gutted for Malukas because he's going to be rethinking that last corner in his mind.
I know.
Till he hopefully eventually wins the damn thing. But he did a great job, for sure.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. It was a good job. I just, I felt bad that he got very last. But it was a close race, good race.
It was. I got to thank the Greens for inviting me around to the Indy watch party.
Oh, did you go to a watch party and watch?
Yeah, with Alex. Yeah.
Oh, fun.
And Tony. Yeah. And Amy.
Fun.
Yeah, it was. I've never done that before, really. But actually, no. A very long time ago, when I lived in Florida, I went to a friend of mine, Tony Montoto's race, and it was all a bunch of Hispanic people. That was a crazy way to watch a race. That was a lot of fun too.
Yeah,
it's like watching a football game, on Spanish TV.
Spanish TV,
everything is escalated.
Yeah, that's great. Yes, well, that's exciting. But hey, in fairness, the Canadian Grand Prix was better.
It was.
It was better than what we've been accustomed to of late. The first four races, and so we'll talk about that. You had Mercedes; they brought a significant upgrade package to Montreal, sort of reinforced their status as the clear class of the field at this point. They've won every race this season with 5 starts, and Antonelli's championship lead has grown. We'll get into that. Little Intra-Team dynamics cropped up this weekend. You got Antonelli and Russell now openly racing head-to-head. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting to watch. Yeah. And to be honest with you, with all of the troubles that Formula One's going through with its series and its power and hybrid and all that junk, I mean, I think this is actually becoming the defining storyline of 2026, if I'm honest. And I think the Formula One's going to double down on this incredible race between. Look at the incredible race between Antonelli and Russell, because don't look over here at our issues. But
it's kind of like how Indy are going to replay that last lap for the next 10 years, maybe. The Formula One are definitely going to be like, oh, look at this battle. This is what you want to see here.
Yeah, close racing.
Stefano's like, see, I told you.
Yeah, this is
shut
great.
up, Stefano.
This is great. Yeah. So, and then I thought Russell, he won the sprint, took pole of the Grand Prix, leading the race comfortably on merit, had a great battle, retired with battery pack. His car is now produced multiple technical issues in 26, and the championship gap, had been narrowing, but it's tough. We'll get into some of that. I think it's worth noting Red Bull's Ford Powertrain's Milestone, putting it on the podium with their own very first power unit. I think that is noteworthy. That shouldn't be overlooked. McLaren's call this weekend, Lando said it put him out of their misery. It's like, it was tough. We'll get into that, and then we'll get into the teammate dynamic between Lewis and Leclerc. Let's jump in. Cold conditions, race to find really that chaotic first lap. After we actually got started, we had 3 formation laps. I think I kind of understood the first one. If Lindblad was waving his arm and he had stalled,
right.
they'd wave off that first go out of safety, and then they normally do another formation lap, but then they did another one after that, and I don't know if that was because everybody was confused and the car sat there for quite a while, and they thought, all right, let's run everybody again, make sure Lindblad's car is completely out of the picture.
Yeah, and by that time, McLaren's tire choice was wrong.
Yeah, they had 2 chances, Paul. They had 2 chances to come in and change off those inters, and Piastri was strongly saying, shouldn't we just come in and change them now? But they kept him out on that. So, very difficult. Well, let's start at the sharp end. We'll start off with Mercedes, Kimi Antonelli P1, George Russell, a DNF. 5 wins, 5 races, historically dominant, no doubt. This was a little bit of a bittersweet weekend for the team, though. Their strongest performer so far this weekend certainly was George. The car is the benchmark. The internal competition between Russell and Antonelli is now really the most compelling narrative in the sport, if I'm honest. This morning, Toto described the Russell-Antonelli duels as uncomfortable, hinted that there could be some team orders on the table. I kind of significant because he's not a guy that typically he kind of resists those kind of conversations, and so it's worth watching that. Will it be a Rosberg Hamilton 2016 or the more onerous papaya rules for Toto Mercedes? So we'll have to see kind of what transpires out of that. But let's talk about Kimi, Paul. P1 ran second for the opening stint behind Russell. Pair traded the lead repeatedly across 30 laps, and a real entertaining duel. Coming from the sprint with Antonelli being very angry.
Don't drive angry.
Don't drive angry, Kimi, and Toto having to tell him to shut up basically on the radio. But once the DNF for George happened, comfortable, controlled race from that point on, finished, 10, 11 seconds or so ahead of everyone else. He acknowledged it wasn't the way he wanted to win. Specifically, he commiserated with George's mechanical issues that he had, but a measured, mature response from a 19-year-old who is in the championship lead, I thought. 4th consecutive race win, extends the championship lead by 43 points, now on 131 points, tracking towards a title, Paul, which would be historic given his age. Still, the class of the field, race pace, Mercedes. The starts and early scraps with Russell remain kind of the only chink in an otherwise flawless performance from him. I just think, I think Martin Brundle was right, and I think I've got this in George's notes. I think, but I'll say it now. I do agree with Martin. I feel like Kimi has the outright pace, but George has the outright sort of race wisdom and experience. I don't know. How do you see it?
As a given, George has been in the sport for years and years and years, and Kimi, this is his second year, and that literally looks like nearly the only kink in Kimi's armor, and it was quite a shock this weekend, that maybe George wasn't his buddy anymore. I think he was in shock as well as angry that George would actually not give him the room on the outside as they were going alongside. I mean, I wouldn't if I was George. Why would you?
I wouldn't either.
You're gunning for your. This is very much like Piastri and Norris, where you kind of got the advantage car now, so you know exactly who your competition is to win a world championship.
Yep.
And you don't know when your choice is that's going to come back. It's even probably more so for George. I mean,
correct.
Ever since he's been Mercedes, he's never really been the golden boy, right? Maybe for a split second before Kimi was inserted, and we know Toto's just kind of coddled Kimi, and Toto was right. I mean, Kimi's an unbelievable talent, right?
He is.
So yeah, it's the dynamic is intense, and Kimi's learning how they're not necessarily going to be the nicest people in as it moves on, and maybe that hurts his feelings. I don't know. He's 19. I don't know, but there's no doubt he's trying things that maybe he got away with in the lower formula when he was racing against contemporaries of the same kind of level in experience, but he was maybe that bit better of a driver. But now he's it's tied up at the top end, right? Even driver talent, experience, everything. So but there's more upside for Kimi, and Mercedes have got to see that. George is the finished product at this point, and he's got that experience, and Kimi's can only get better at this point, but learning that experience, and this fight that he's going to have with George is going to teach him a lot of things.
Yeah,
and obviously he's a quick learner, so halfway through the season he's going to already have a lot more in his toolbox than he had at the beginning of the season on racecraft and how to run a race and where a move is on and not on, and how to work your opponent so they make the mistake and make your pass easy, that kind of thing. He's just trying to force things a little bit more like he's racing an a Formula Ford car rather than Formula One car right now. But as we've seen over these past few races, his depth of learning and quick turnaround and then applying is really strong. I mean, amazing.
Yeah. It's sort of that kind of wisdom just betrays his years, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously got a great group behind him to help him with this, because he's still 19. I mean, you heard his ramblings on the microphone. They're just like, "Well, shut up, Kimi."
Yeah,
and he'll learn that too, to fight your battles in the room on the debriefs, and don't do it on the track, because that's just not how the team would want you to speak or behave, right? So
I think Kimi, if you think of where he was and how he came on late last year.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about it when I get to Franco Colapinto, but Kimi is almost like a light switch turned on, and then boom, he was there. The kid is seriously talented and seriously fast. Mm-hmm. He was gobbling up George all over the back of him, and putting some moves on, like you said, that may have gotten away with in junior series, but welcome to the majors. Mm-hmm. George isn't going to hand it to you, nor should he. Right. So I support George in that. You're going to close the door, but those are lessons learned, like you said. Very similar if you think of where Lando came when he got to this series. He kind of had some tussles, a little ragged in the very beginning. So was Kimi. Lewis the same way. But man, he's building on skill after skill after skill, and I think he's got the outright pace to be there and do it. And so anyway, impressive weekend from him. An amazing young talent, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean that 30 laps was the best of Formula One I've seen this year by far.
Yeah,
because you're not watching a procession. They're not playing. They literally are fighting for their world championship, and they're leveraging the team, right? I mean, George can see the leverage in the team slipping away. And he gave everything he had. He was doing a great job till his car clapped out, which is a real shame, because that battle was intense, as we've seen, and we've seen Senna, Prost, we've seen Hamilton and Rosberg, and this is it's going to be different,
right,
for sure, but it's still going to be just as intense, I feel.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's going to be pretty rough for the balance of the season between the two of them, and Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on it. George, he had a DNF, won the sprint qualifying, won the sprint, took pole for the Grand Prix, led the race on merit, retired on the lead with lap 30 with a power unit battery pack issue. I don't know. I was trying to think up and down the grid. Is there any other driver in 2026 so far that's had worse luck than George?
Well, maybe Piastri, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Piastri and McLaren, yeah. The Intra-Team battle with Antonelli was a lot of fun to watch, as you mentioned. Russell said it felt like karting. The sad truth is that he's been, like this weekend, outperforming Kimi on multiple occasions here and there this season, but has nothing to show for it, Paul.
Right.
The reliability is a concern at this point for George, and he drops 9 points to 43 points behind Antonelli in a single weekend, right? And that's brutal. Without being really, I would arguably say, he dropped that many points without being outdriven. Right.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, reliability, it's tough, but I mean, the only thing George can do is to pick himself up, is to look at the battle from last year where it looked like Piastri had the title in his hand. And that quickly turned upside down, right? So there's a lot of races to go, and that's all George can do. Because you got to go in with a positive mindset every weekend. It's going to be that intense every time you show up at the Grand Prix weekend. And I think he's up for the battle. And he's got to lean on that experience to kind of take Kimi out of the game, put him off his game somehow, because the kid's got so much pace, he's going to be all over you like a cheap suit the whole year.
Yeah, that's the challenge. He's George is having to apply all of his skills he knows and has learned. And he is sharp. His racecraft is good. You know?
Yeah, it was a great defense. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, George is no slouch. And for Kimi to go and beat George is, a tall order for a 19-year-old. George is, right at the sharp end of talent there. So, yeah, he did get a €5,000 fine, suspended for 12 months for throwing his headrest out. You can understand. I would have too. You could understand. You could forgive him that. I mean, frustration level very high.
Yeah, very high.
So totally understand that. But, this should, again, this is going to end up being the talking point of the whole season, I think, just to obfuscate from the clear hybrid 50-50 power split challenges they have going, and we'll see how that plays out. But interesting battle for sure. Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton P2, Charles Leclerc P4. They scored 33 points from this weekend against McLaren's 0, so that's good. The gap in the constructor opens up a little bit for Ferrari, so that's a bonus. The delta between their two drivers, though, that's stark enough that Vasseur even acknowledged publicly. He said that Leclerc never really found comfort in the car all weekend, while Hamilton did from the very first practice. And I remember watching on Friday, and I thought, wow, Lewis really looks comfortable in this car. Watching the practice sessions, looking at the lines. I like when Lewis comes to a race weekend, how on that Friday practice he just explores every line. He'll run wide here, he'll run here. He really explores all of the track and looking for the lines and finding limits. And I do enjoy that about Lewis. Described Canada as his happiest day at Ferrari, and that's kind of telling, Paul, from a 7-time champ. It says a lot about how difficult that first year was with Ferrari, and even really the first 5 rounds, to say that this is his happiest day at Ferrari. So that's good. Ran third in the early stint, managed the gap to Mercedes pair, then was promoted to second when Russell retired, then spent the second half of the race really managing Verstappen before passing him on the outside of turn 1, lap 62. The upgrade package, and I thought it was good because Lewis was watching Max's D-rate points and changed up where he would normally go. And then Max was doing the opposite, right? And it was basically a game of hybrid chess at that point.
Yeah.
Lewis read it right and did a great job, got around him. Then Max tried to get back at him. But upgrade package from Ferrari brought Miami clearly suiting Lewis. He's more comfortable in the car. His read on the car in the cold, low grip conditions was really spot on, I thought. Vasseur was right to highlight the confidence as a differentiator. More confident Lewis, more comfortable Lewis is a faster Lewis. I think that's a good read on Lewis over the weekend. The contrast with Leclerc and the same machinery, however, is becoming a conversation, Paul, and I don't think that conversation is going away anytime soon.
No, Lewis for sure. I mean, just from even before they turned a wheel, he was way more confident. You see the interviews on the Thursday, and I like listening to Lewis on the Thursday. Honestly,
yeah,
I think he's very retrospective, but he's a smart guy. He's got a lot of experience, so some of these questions could be just kind of glanced off, by most drivers, but he'll give it the time, and sometimes he can give some very elaborate answers to maybe even the simplest question, which was the sim question, and he went into many layers of how he's over his career the sims have not really worked for him, and that even at Mercedes they ramped up the sim program, and he didn't think it was as sophisticated as the one he'd come from at McLaren, and so his experience tells him what he needs, right? And now he's maybe more comfortable in the team to be able to tell them what he needs, and that just puts him in a much better place for driving on a weekend. So as I said, before he even turned the wheel, he looked good and sounded confident, and that just kept rolling. And he was definitely old Lewis and just methodical, but sharp end of the field, and just learning and figuring out how, over a weekend you work, every session for that final point, which is the big race at the end. And I think he just did everything he could to prepare himself and be ready and have the car underneath him that could fight, and it absolutely did, and he did an impeccable job.
Yeah, he had a great weekend. And it's good to see Lewis back comfortable, back happy, back on song, back on pace, and it's good to see that. Great weekend just from Friday onward. I thought he did a great job. Not so much for Charles. P4 described the weekend as the worst of his career. That's a striking assessment.
That's a bit much, Charles.
Yeah. Well, it's a striking comment when he's had some genuinely very difficult moments in F1.
You weren't stuffed in the barriers on a lap.
You didn't run off and hit the barriers at Monza. But I think that it tells you how deeply frustrated he is with the situation. He's very upset with it. Struggle with tire temps, car feel throughout the entire weekend, really from Friday onward, a problem that Hamilton did not have. He picked off Hadjar late in the race after Isaac collected 2 penalties, one for moving into braking, the other for a yellow flag infringement. P4 in these circumstances may seem like a bit of a solid damage limitation exercise, but I think the fundamental issue here is you got one driver being really comfortable in the car and the other is not in the same car. He's not comfortable.
Right.
And that needs a genuine resolution before Monaco. It's a bit of a role reversal from last year, Paul, and that's making things, I think, uncomfortable for him. His comment that he needs to study Hamilton's data is clearly Charles just being brutally honest that he's not having the answers himself. He's not quite sure what's going on or why he's not comfortable. But again, a real role reversal from last year when he comfortably had the measure of Lewis. This year, finding it very difficult to be on pace with Lewis. And with Monaco coming up, his home Grand Prix, I think maybe he do well to spend some time at the factory on the sim trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, it's hard to say what the right move to do is and I wonder how different the setups were between the two. Yeah. Because obviously we know that Hamilton didn't want to go to the sim and figure out a setup. He was going to go more by, what he thinks it should be. Obviously alongside his engineers, they come to a group decision on that.
Right.
And maybe the sim isn't the answer. Maybe going through more data isn't the answer for Charles. Maybe it's something more on the line of what Lewis is doing and be a bit more organic in that way. Because, you start chasing the data too much, you can get even more frustrated, I think. Because you got to have a bit more confidence in yourself to know what's going on in the car. You can always use data. Data's always going to be there for certain things that you can't just pick up organically. But I've used that word a lot this week. But I just think he needs a mindset change rather than a setup change, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah. And I think he's got to get his. I think he's got to get his mindset kind of recentered here because it's. I'm just. This has got to be really frustrating for him, and it's something that I kind of said in the past, maybe. The last several podcasts and heading into this year, I was like, well, is there a chance that Charles may think I've been here at Ferrari long enough to have a shot at the title? They're not giving me a car to do so. Is there frustration around this? Now you got Lewis coming in. Lewis is starting to get comfortable with the car. There's just a lot of pressure. Yeah. Because he's been there a while, If Lewis starts getting podiums and has a shot and is clearly leading that team, I'm not saying we're there yet, but if that sort of manifests, is Charles, would he look elsewhere? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's had the weight and the heart of Ferrari with him forever.
Yeah, for a long time.
I think it would be a very difficult decision for him to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. He would want to see it out in a championship run for Ferrari, but if he's not comfortable with the car, I don't know. Watch the space. It'll be interesting to see. Monaco, he'll be boosted. It's his home race.
Yeah.
He's won that.
Yeah. Monaco's going to be a different race entirely.
Yeah,
I don't even know which car's going to be quick there, honestly.
I don't either.
But I think the Ferrari is going to be pretty good because it's even if it's down on power, it's been able to work the corners pretty well to stay in contention. So I feel like Ferrari
and work their tires pretty well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good car for there. So chin up there, Charles.
Chin up. Yeah, that's right. Red Bull, Max Verstappen, P3, Isaac Hadjar, P5. First podium in 26 for Verstappen, and the first with the Red Bull Ford Powertrain in only their fifth race with a brand-new power unit. And I think Mekki was right to call that a historic moment for the program. I think it is. Whether it reflects genuine progress or attrition ahead of them, or maybe it was circuit flattered, I think the team was going to answer that in the coming races. But I don't want to overplay it, but it's a podium for Red Bull Powertrain.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big deal. You're up against the likes of Honda, Mercedes, Ferrari Power. I think that's, a huge step for them. Max and P3 had a strong opening stint on the soft tire, best of the rest behind the Mercedes pair at the start. Inherited P2 when Russell had the DNF, then spent 15 laps defending. Great defending and a great battle between him and Lewis before losing on lap 62 at turn 1, but I thought it was a great fight between them. It's fun to watch. First podium for 26, as I mentioned, extraordinarily difficult start to the season for them. So to come back, get on the podium, I think it's good. He's in the championship with 50 points. Trajectory from Japan to Canada is at least moving in the right direction. Been a lot of conversation about, is Formula One going to hold his interest? Is he going to say the heck with this and go somewhere else? Well, I think it's moving in the right direction to keep him happy. I think he actually had... It's masked by the Mercedes battle and everything that's going in front of him. Mm-hmm. But if you really think about where they came from, I think it was actually a net positive, good weekend for both Max and Red Bull and Isaac, if I'm honest. But I think Max drove well and had a great battle with Lewis, which I think he thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah, going back to Red Bull and the Ford engine and program. I mean, it is quite miraculous that they've got on the podium already. Yeah. And it just shows you that I know Red Bull have lost people and there's been a lot of movement all around, but predominantly, they've had to start not just design their own engine, but also learn how to run a team running its own engine program. Yeah. If you know what I'm saying. Yeah. And it's a whole different thing than just having a Mercedes or Honda engineers and they say, plug this in, and They're working separately. They're trying to tie it all together and learn how to work as a team, tying it all together, which only Mercedes and Ferrari really know how to do. And that's who they're fighting for a championship and for every place.
Right.
And it just shows you that I think Red Bull is still a very, very, very high level. And I think Isaac is actually a better clue to that than Verstappen.
Agreed.
Because, we're used to Verstappen being able to do miraculous things with half, mediocre equipment. But Isaac is backing that up. He's doing a great job, and he's actually the number 2 that they should have had. For these past few years, they may have won a couple more manufacturer championships if they had there, and he is doing a great job as a number 2. But he's also kind of showing the actual potential of that car, which is definitely still a top 6 car. So kudos to those guys. And Verstappen, I think even though he came third, he only likes winning. And second or third, maybe it doesn't make that much difference to him. But what does make a difference is him enjoying racing, and I think he really enjoyed that weekend. Battling with Lewis again. Now they've got a little bit. Now they're that far away from their championship battles. They get along a little better, I think, and they'll fight a little cleaner and better on the track. And it was entertaining to watch, nearly as entertaining as watching 2 Mercedes guys go up against it. So
it was fun. And I agree with you. I think I think from Red Bull's perspective, you have to consider that that's a brand new engine program for them, as you mentioned, just like Audi and just like Honda, right? Mercedes, Ferrari's withstanding. I mean, those are long-standing historic engines. But I think if you really compare them to Audi and Honda, then you're seeing the Herculean effort that Red Bull and just how good a team that really still is. Yeah. Don't want to overlook it. To your point about Isaac, great result. P5, started P7, strong Q3 appearance, running competitive throughout the middle portion of the race. He got those 2 penalties, one for moving under braking. He apologized for that. He said it was a stupid move against Leclerc. Then he had one for a yellow flag infringement. It cost him significant time, a little bit of track position. Not as bad as it could have been because he was running so well. Right. So I think that was good. He apologized to Leclerc. Despite the penalty chaos, though, held 5th at the flag, which shows the underlying pace was there, Paul. His car outperformed Verstappen's through some of the sectors, suggesting the deployment issue from earlier rounds is improving and how they deploy their energy. He out-qualified Verstappen again, his 3rd strong qualifying performance in 5 races. That whole rookie narrative is really shifting from impressive debut to consistent performer, leaving a lot of people wondering if this is the driver who's successfully broken that second seat curse at Red Bull, and he may be, Paul.
Yeah, I absolutely think he is. He's done enough, I think.
Yeah.
Weekend after weekend, session after session, really. It just shows you, Canada really broke apart the competitiveness of the cars, that he could have those. I mean, was it nearly a minute of penalties and still not lose a position? I mean, that's the deficit between those front manufacturers and Red Bull and everybody
Cadillac
else.
And Aston Martin.
And everyone. I mean, just literally everyone, even Alpine, there is a chasm there for sure. And this track just tends to show that up, but it did make some tight battles at the front. But for Isaac, he drove well and made use of that edge in performance of the car versus the rest to kind of keep his position.
Yeah. Apart from the penalties, I think it was kind of a quiet race, but an incredibly impressive race from him. Speaking of Alpine, a good race result. Yeah, they weren't at the sharp end of the grid, but the strategic call to start both cars on the mediums, Paul, while the rest of the field scrambled with intermediates and softs. That was, and in marginal conditions, that was the decision of the weekend. Both drivers ran long, switched to the hard, and finished in the points 6th and 8th. Paul Briatore described it as a great result. He's right. It is a great result. 12 constructor points from a race that where McLaren scored 0. The team is just quietly executing. And so, if I'm honest, I didn't see them doing this by watching their pace on Friday. Yeah. I didn't think they would be there. Both cars in the point, P6 and P8. Let's start with Colapinto first. P6 best career result so far on merit, Paul. The medium to hard strategy gave him track position that he protected, I think, intelligently so throughout the race. He had a scary moment exiting the pits after clipping the wall, and the damp white line didn't cost him any performance, managed it calmly, acknowledged the benefit of others' misfortune, but didn't let that diminish what he felt like he delivered or what he executed on. And I also agree with Martin on this. It just seems like, Paul, in the last few races, there's been a racing driver switch that's been turned on with Franco.
Yeah.
He's had the measure of Pierre over the last couple of weekends, and that's great for Franco. He needed to really get this kind of performance consistently and start performing, or else Flavio was going to be done with him. So I think 3 points finishes now for Colapinto in 5 rounds. I'd say Flavio probably needs him to qualify a little better, and I think that's probably the charge he's put to Franco to do. And I think he probably will, but a great race for Franco. A great last 2 weekends for Franco.
Yeah, I guess the beatings finally paid off.
Yeah, the thrashing worked.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to the guy. I mean, because he came into Formula One, and you're like, wow, this guy's really good. He definitely deserves to be there. And then he had just had a year of no man's land.
Right.
So I'm not sure what's happened behind the scenes to change his mindset, because obviously when he came on, he obviously had the talent, but it just kind of escaped him for a while, mentally probably, more than anything. So, yeah, good for him. I mean, we know how well we rate Gasly, and to be able to beat Gasly, mano a mano is strong. And so, and once again, just like the Red Bull thing, if you can get both your drivers to be nearly equal in performance and get them into points, the team's going to be a lot higher in the constructors at the end of the year. So
bodes well for constructors. Yeah, it does. And I'm not picking on Pierre. I think, you and I both rate Pierre very highly. He suffered with the car again in qualifying, started P14. Difficult weekend setup-wise, I think, for him. He executed the same medium to hard strategy as Franco did, finished 0.3 seconds behind Lawson in an entertaining, really kind of late battle they had. Just couldn't find a way to get past the Racing Bull. But his feedback and Colapinto's remain almost identical on the car's limitations, I think, reading their commentary, which means it's probably a chassis issue that Alpine needs to sort of really, go down that rabbit trail. Other than, I don't think it's a driver consistency thing from Pierre or Franco, if I'm honest. I think it's more of a setup chassis issue they're going to have to address. The points are masking maybe a little bit of the underlying performance issue that they still have to focus on. But 4th consecutive points finish for Pierre. He's having a great season so far, making him one of the more consistent point scorers on the grid, and I think that's great. This is what I hope for Alpine with that Mercedes lump in the back in my preseason predictions, and it's coming true. So, yeah, while Franco's had the measure of him the last couple of weekends, I do think Pierre's doing well. Yeah,
he is doing well, and mentioning the Mercedes lump in the back is a very, very important piece and very different from what Alpine have had to deal with over the past season. So just like Red Bull have to get used to how to work with their own internal engine program, they just have a meeting with the other. They've got to do it the other way around, where they have an internal engine program. Now they're having to basically work with a vendor supplying the engine as well.
Right.
I think the deficit between, the top manufacturers and them is quite large, and that just shows you maybe that the car isn't quite there, because we know the engine is. So yeah, they've still got a lot of upside and reaching out and to get more performance out of that car, because that's obviously what their deficit is. It's not the engine anymore. The engine used to be their excuse.
Yeah.
Right, but now it's the other way around. The engine is not your excuse anymore. Your chassis needs to be up to snuff now. Yeah,
I agree, because I think reading kind of what they said about the car or what they were struggling, it seemed both of them were kind of on point. And I'm sure the men and women of Alpine know what they're looking at and kind of where they're deficient. And I'm sure they'll focus on it. But I do think it's thereabouts. You know. And it's consistently keeping Pierre in the points all season, and Franco here with the last couple of weekends doing really well. So
and it's, as you say, they probably do know what the deficit is, but to turn that around is really hard without testing. I know that from us developing the Valkyrie and things like that. It's like you can know what the problem is, but then a solution may then cause another problem down the line that you weren't foreseeing. So, and without testing, how do you don't find those answers till you get into the weekend,
right?
And so it's and CFD and all those kind of things are great, but real world situation, there's nothing that can change or make that any more powerful than actually the real world situations to find out what actually works and doesn't, as Lewis found out from his anti-sim feed. Right.
Racing Bulls, Liam Lawson, P7 over Lindblad, DNS. Unfortunately, unusual weekend, split the team kind of. Lawson had almost no running on Friday, missed sprint qualifying, raced from P11 on the grid, still finished 7th with, I think, a really composed drive on the soft tire in the second stint. I thought he did really well, held Pierre back. Lindblad matched Russell's pole margins really in regular qualifying, and then it couldn't really start the race due to a clutch failure in the formation lap. The upgrade package, Alan Permain said, is that they brought is working. So he's happy with that. We'll start with Liam, P7, Paul. Went from nearly 0 track time on Friday to 7th place in the Grand Prix. Spent the final laps being hounded by Pierre Gasly, but managed to stay ahead. Both of them locking up on that final chicane and running, shortcutting the corner of them. Both of them did in tandem there, but they were going at it hammer and tongs. He said the Alpines were quicker, that the temperature management on the soft tire was really the key to the challenge, and he managed it. Alan Permain described really kind of a masterclass of defending, did a great job in defending. Third consecutive point scorer across the last 2 Grand Prix weekends, including the sprint. So Lawson's turning things around, I think, into a consistent points performer in a car that's got little interest in scoring points. A good weekend for Liam. Yeah,
it is. A good comeback. Him and his teammate had reverse fortunes, right?
Yeah.
Lindblad had all the good stuff early on, and Lawson, probably just had to extract any information Lindblad's side of the garage had to try and prepare for the race weekend, and maybe during the race, seeing as he was out so early, they were able to focus and give him the information he needs to help manage those tires and do the right thing at the right time to be ready. Because if you're racing, your biggest competition is always your teammate first, and even if within the team they're focused on their own stuff and they're not going to start helping Lawson figure it out while they're in the midst of a battle. So I think for some way, Lindblad being out that early kind of helped the team focus on him and helped him a lot. And we know Lawson could drive and was able to execute from the information he was being given.
Yeah,
I still haven't figured out Lindblad though.
It's interesting. He had that DNS, but he qualified P9, Paul. Another very impressive.
So fast, and then he doesn't make mistakes, and then he falls off. I still haven't figured out where he's at. Really, I feel like he had the clutch issue, right? And he didn't start. But he had genuine Q3 pace, Paul. Serious pace in Q3. And it's brutal not to score any points because of reliability and welcome to the majors. But and he sounds like he's super excited about Monaco. He's not letting that get his dauber down. He's like, yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, this is exciting and all that. There's moments I suspect that Arvin's got the measure of Liam, if I'm honest. It just hasn't happened. Yeah.
It just hasn't happened, and I'm wondering. Okay, reliability withstanding. There's some brilliant moments from this kid. Yeah. And I'm waiting for consistent and reliable races to see, because I'm kind of curious, does he have the measure of Liam or not? His pace clearly is there, but does he have that consistency, right? And if anything else, I'm hoping Arvid could just have a really consistent series of clean weekends.
Complete weekend, clean.
Just a clean weekend to see what the kid's got, because he seems to have these flashes, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Let's see. Williams. Carlos Sainz, P9. Alex Albon, a DNF. Valls took one result and one very frustrating retirement in Montreal. Sainz's points are positive. if only in P9, Albon retired, no fault of his own. We'll start with Carlos. Took a calculated risk on the intermediates, did young Carlos and Williams from P15 on the grid. Didn't pay off immediately. Once he switched to the mediums, though, his second stint was among the stronger of the midfield. 2 consecutive point finishes for Williams heading into the European series, portion of the series. Circuit's not where Williams typically flourishes in Canada. 2 points from a race, that's probably okay. Legitimate execution from a strategy standpoint. The mediums worked well for Carlos. Carlos does have a good ability to manage conditions like that. Read the tire window, got the tires working. He's a pro. He knows what he's doing. He was very clear-eyed about where. Basically, he said, we just need more raw pace, period, to fight with the top 8 regularly. Not happy is young Carlos. And I think he's just being realistic about the car. If I'm honest, this is not where he wanted the 2026 car. Right. I doubt it's what the team sold them where they would be with the 2020. Remember, the last 2 seasons, they just rode off. It was really 2026 they were focused on. Yep. And I would say they're worse now than they were last year. Mm-hmm. So I think young Carlos is a potential flight risk, if I'm honest.
Yes.
Because I don't think he's happy with the 26 car.
Put the tracker on him. Make sure he's not really going to run for it.
I know. Somebody put the ankle tracker around his ankle because I feel like he's a flight risk at this point.
Yeah, and he definitely he's pecking in the down the pit lane is still as high as it always was. Right, everyone knows how good Carlos is and what he's dealing with, and it was a massive disappointment. Not as massive as Aston Martin, but a disappointment that they didn't. It didn't just push him up into that big fight, and especially with the engine they have in the car. So definitely they learned some lessons, some painful lessons, I think, because that was the opportunity, right? And now they're scrabbling their way back to competitiveness, but just rightfully, as you said about last year, scrabbling their way back to where they were last year.
Yeah,
which is, and. I don't know what they did in the development of the car, but obviously got it a little bit wrong. Something happened, and they were obviously behind in parts and all this kind of stuff. And when the parts did get there, they were the wrong ones. So, they got a long road to hoe, I feel, and I'm not sure how you can close that gap like that with their resources as they are. We saw McLaren do it, but their resources are a lot larger than.
Agreed. I don't think Carlos wants to have the Valtteri Bottas kind of career. That's not where Carlos saw this going.
Yeah. He's probably going, Max, you should leave this. This sucks.
Yeah, Max, you should get out of Red Bull. Yeah.
Lewis, that's a great second year. Yeah. Enjoy your singing career.
I don't think he's happy. Alex, not much to talk about. He got punted by Oscar Piastri weekend over. Not a lot to talk about. Alex has had a string of bad weekends, too. Mm-hmm. The whole team needs a serious turnaround. They really do. I think you're risking keeping Carlos at this point. And I think Alex is getting very frustrated. Not that he would bolt, but the team. Yeah. I love me some James Vowles, but brother, you put it all out there for 2 years. We heard you say 2026 is your year, and it isn't happening. So, and I know nobody's more disappointed and upset than James is. Yeah. I know that. I'm not heaping poop on him. I'm just saying it's tough. It's tough. Equally tough for Haas. Tough weekend here. I thought they may do a little better. It didn't come to fruition. You had Ollie Behrman P10, Esteban Ocon P14. Deeply mixed weekend. Really, Behrman scraped a point despite a slow pit stop in a difficult car. He finished in P10, started on used softs, and survived the chaos in the opening lap, including narrowly avoiding Piastri's collision with Albon. Then a slow pit stop cost him time under a lot of pressure to get that final point. Post-race, I think he was relatively honest. He said he didn't know if they even deserve that point based on their performance. But they're going to take it based on the weekends that they did deserve and didn't get anything. fair enough. Komatsu now needs to really kind of understand why this upgrade package isn't performing,
Right.
or at least underperformed here. I thought they were coming with upgrades. I thought they would do better. It didn't, and that's what has me scratching my head. I think Behrman and Ocon's feedback are kind of in the same direction, kind of what Colapinto and Gasly's is.
Yeah.
So difficult race. And I think Ollie, don't we have a good enough measuring stick with Ollie at this point, given his speed, pace, racecraft?
Yeah.
I think for him to scrape to get in and nab a point is indicative of the upgrades not working in the car. It's nothing against Ollie.
Yeah, no, but I think Canada.
Or do you think he was
place.
a little ragged here?
I think they get ragged when they're frustrated by the performance
Yeah.
of the car, so they kind of compound each other.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think just Montreal in general isn't a great show of upgrades. Depends on where the upgrades were trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Because there is no fast corners in Montreal, or at least heavy load, heavy aerodynamic corners, right? It's a lot of quick change direction, straight line speed, and braking.
So you're thinking if the upgrades are really kind of medium and high speed corner focused, then
Right.
it wouldn't manifest here.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And maybe they know that, and maybe they have to keep pushing on the upgrades and evaluating them so they know what they've got. They can't sit around and wait for Barcelona to figure
Yeah.
out their upgrades. They can still evaluate their upgrades, whether they're working on or what they're doing, even if they're not showing in the lap time at that particular track.
Yeah. So all that being said, then maybe Monaco won't be that great of a weekend for him either.
Yeah, I said
Hard to know.
Monaco. I just don't know who's going to.
All bets are off in Monaco.
I think
Yeah.
all bets are off in Monaco. Really.
Yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
got a clue.
You could come out and find Alpine, doing really well. Who knows?
Although the Haas does have a Ferrari engine in it, so
It does, yeah, right. Esteban, tough week for him. He swapped to the upgrade specification after qualifying, and had barely any running on the new setup before the race, and then he started having a lot of braking instability, lockup issues. It just made me. I mean, it suggests that the car change was made, but I'm wondering how much data foundation they had to support that change. You know. Being that he went after qualifying,
right. I was throwing a dart. He's like, "Well, I got nothing left to lose."
Yeah,
which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, you do what you got to do, and I'm not knocking the team at all. I just wondered how much foundational data they had to say, "Oh yeah, definitely upgrade's going to help," or at this point, crap, let's do the upgrade. You know, that sort of thing. 2 stops cost him any hope of getting getting in the points anyway. Tough race for Haas, really, on balance. A little tougher for Audi. Intermediate gamble, like McLaren, like others, did not work. Hulkenberg in P12, penalty pit lane speeding, compounded, was already compromised in the afternoon with the intermediates. Then he had that spin. That didn't help. Pace and clean air, I thought, was better. But the incidents, like Sunday, meant the results really aren't reflecting the car's true pace, I think. I feel like, I don't know. Maybe it's wishful thinking. I kind of felt that Audi and conversely Haas might have done a little better here, but that's just me wishful thinking. Magnition, that Audi left Montreal feeling like they had taken a step forward from Miami in terms of consistency, but the race result doesn't really reflect that. But the qualifying data might be more honest to measure. So depends on how you look at it. I felt like maybe the qualifying might be a better measure of the upgrades, and they had made significant movements. And while the race didn't really manifest that, maybe the qualifying is an indicator, we actually are moving the right way.
Yeah, and the tyre choice made a big difference, right? I mean,
yeah, for sure.
In the tight battle, you're going to fall a long way if you make a slight misjudgment on your strategy call.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty solid in performance, pretty consistent, honestly. And this was just on the downside of it, maybe just due to the strategy call. But
because I felt like you had Gabriel Bortoleto P13, but he had a Q3 in qualifying, right? And I thought, see, that seems genuinely impressive for Audi at this point. It was his second Q3 of the season. So then to have it all go pear-shaped is unfortunate. His second stint, pace and free air, like Nico's, I thought was competitive, but pretty much irrelevant based on where he started with the intermediates and then trying to recover. So to your point, difficult race for them. Let's see. But on the upside, both cars finished, Paul.
There you go.
Reliability.
That's powerful. Yeah.
It is powerful. Yeah. So that's a good thing. Cadillac, tough for Cadillac. You had Valtteri Bottas in P16, Sergio Perez at DNF. Another difficult race for the team. Both started on intermediates. That didn't work clearly. Sergio, I thought he was recovering though through the field. Seemed to be running okay.
Right, for a while, yeah.
Yeah, for a little bit. Past Ocon, building a little momentum, and then his front suspension failed. Thankfully, it was coming into box and then collapsed, so that triggered a virtual safety car. Early competitive retirement from Sergio. He seemed like he was finally getting some rhythm out there, too. And then that's frustrating.
Yeah. I thought it was his best race of the year so far, honestly, even though the result...
Yeah.
I mean, apart from that collapse, I think they were more competitive than they had been, quite honestly. So I think it was good. I mean, it's a new team, right? Suppliers, people in the shop, in the fab shop, all this kind of stuff. Sometimes you're going to find a little glitch of the system, and obviously that failure was a pretty big glitch, pretty visual one.
And I think you're right. Graham Loudon felt like it was their most competitive weekend so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so too. You had Valtteri penalize the pit lane speeding. It had the wrong tire, obviously, at the start. 4-lap deficit at the finish. The car balance issue he described is sort of I don't know, it was a lot of oversteer. I don't know how correctable that is.
Yeah.
During the race, I think you're pretty much stuck with it.
Yeah, I mean, you can play with the bars and stuff a little bit. But cars are so aero-dependent, it's nearly impossible. Probably.
Yeah, so I think that is something the engineering will have to look at correcting for Monaco, but that's a different beast with a whole different steering rack and all that. So difficult to know, but, I think on balance, I think you're right. Probably the better performing weekend so far. And I think you got to take that with a thumbs up. I think Graham's right. I think they're moving the right way. Aston Martin, Alonso at a DNF, Stroll down at P15. Fernando, generally strong opening up, running in the top 10. I thought, wow, okay. Maybe Alonso, maybe he can hang around a point or so. I thought that would be really a good boost for Aston Martin. Then once the race sort of normalized, the pace deficit sort of reasserted itself. Then he had a sort of seat issue and boxed. I don't know if that's an Alonso. I'm tired of doing this, and I'm not going to run around at the back all afternoon. Oh, yeah, my seat's got a problem. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he said the car felt faster than Miami, so that's good. Lance seemed really nonplussed to be there all weekend. He's just, I don't know. Yeah. He's like, whatever. So there you go.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah. No, with Fernando, I think, obviously it was flattered by the tire choice, right? Or the wrong tire choice by a lot. Yeah. 8 other cars? Yeah, right. So that helped. But I also think Fernando was just like, I don't give a shit. And I'm just going to use, you start in the soft tire, you have to manage it to make it last. And he's like, I'm probably not going to last anyway. So I'm just going to use this tire up till my seat breaks or whatever happens. So I think
for the mystery seat breakage.
So he's just having some fun. He's pushing it because he's got nothing to lose. And what's the point in him saving his tire for his 18th place finish? Yeah, just go up there and have some fun and just cause some chaos. Right. Show them who you are. Yeah.
I agree. All right. Well, that's how they finished. But we always do awards of the race.
Did we talk about McLaren?
Oh, did we not? Oh, I didn't have McLaren in here. Oops. Where did I leave that? I didn't cut and paste my note.
You're lucky Grace isn't here. She would have quit the show.
I know, McLaren. I'm so sorry.
I mean, it's their time now after Aston at this point.
Yeah, pretty
unfortunately
much.
For them.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, you had a DNF for Lando.
Yeah.
Oscar got a little ragged, trying to make up places. Flew into the side of Albon, got a penalty for that. Finished well down the order.
It was messy.
Very messy.
The tyre choice obviously was the beginning of the end of their whole weekend, right? Or the race.
Yeah.
But I can't believe although it's out from what you're saying, all the teams, if they chose the softs or the inters, they went full 100%. They never split the strategy. And
that's what surprised me in my race report that I posted on the website, that they ran both the McLarens both on intermediates, and given that it was not quite raining, why wouldn't you have split the strategy?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? And maybe I can understand it may be more at McLaren than the other teams, honestly, because they're like championship contenders. Well, maybe not, but they can't give one a favourable choice and the other one an unfavourable choice. So I can kind of see more why McLaren would go full boat with one choice rather than the other teams down the line. But either so, it is kind of strange that they didn't split strategy in those very 50-50 conditions, whether that was a right move or not.
Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, I even made note in my race notes. Why didn't they split the strategy? When they announced that they were both starting on intermediates, and Crofty listed off all the teams that were starting on intermediates, and I was like, wait, why wouldn't you split that strategy? I don't know why you would go all in on that.
Yeah,
but.
And then where does, because you were saying like Piastri, he wanted to come in and switch, right?
On the first and second formation line,
right? So when does the driver have that?
I don't know.
Choice, and when does the engineers have the right to cancel them out? And that's a big decision they have to make after the race when they evaluate how they do things. Like, you got to put some trust in the driver at some point, because they're the only ones driving the car around there on the tires and looking at the track as close as everyone's watching screens, and they're watching data and they're watching this, but they're not driving the car on the track at that moment. The driver really should be the guy that makes that decision. I
totally agree. And I didn't hear Lando's radio on both of those formation laps, but we heard Oscar, and he was saying, yeah, I know, but shouldn't we come in? And I mean, at some point, if I'm Oscar at the post-race debrief, I think I would tell him next time I'm coming in.
Yeah.
If I'm out there and I assess what's going on and we're on the wrong tire, I am going to just come in.
Yeah, so live by the sword, die by the sword, but the driver should be. We're surrounded by computers and analysts and AIs and all that kind of stuff, but the driver still has a big important part to play there.
Flip the script. If that was Max, what do you think Max would have done?
Yeah, he would have just done what he thinks was right.
He would have came in.
I'm coming in.
I'm coming in. He would have came in. He said, no, I'm out here driving. I'm telling you, the intermediates are going to kill us. I'm out here on the track, 2 formation laps. I'm coming in.
And in that moment, you don't have enough time to say, well, what do you think? Do you think we should switch to... You don't have time in that moment before the race. And,
no, you don't. So, unfortunate for McLaren. I think they had pace to be competitive in the mix on for a podium in the battle with Ferrari and Red Bull, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
If not better. Because
I mean, look how far was it? 5 seconds that Max was behind. I mean, the gap wasn't massive behind the Mercedes,
right?
And the Mercedes, obviously, they were fighting back and forth, and that kind of maybe flattered that gap a little bit. But then, if the McLaren is a bit faster than the Red Bull and the Ferrari, which we think it kind of is, then they would have had to keep those guys way more honest than they were able to do. They were being
and with Lando, had he been up there with the Mercedes, those couple of offs from
would have been
Kimi,
a position, right?
Would have been a position. Then he'd have been splitting the Mercs,
which we saw in the sprint race.
In the sprint, right? I think huge opportunity missed here, and I think McLaren came out today and sort of doubled down and defended the right decision. It wasn't. And even if it was the right decision, you should have split it.
Yeah.
You should have split the strategy, put Lando on slicks and Piastri on, or vice versa, whatever. But yeah, bad call from them. All right, well, let's do some awards. First award that we tend to hand out is Move of the Race, because, why not?
Seriously, Todd?
Yeah, we do. Move of the Race. Paul, who'd you have?
I'm giving it to Alpine for their tire choice.
Great
move
pick.
of the race.
Great pick.
Sometimes it's on track stuff, and there was some. I don't know who. I honestly wouldn't know which one to pick, which move to pick, because the Mercedes battle was great back and forth, and both drivers did a great job in getting back around and driving around the outside. But then there was obviously mistakes and all that kind of stuff. And but I just think I'm feeling good about the Alpine situation. I thought that was a solid move that gave them a lot of points.
Yeah, honestly, I put in the notes, I think that was the decision of the race.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a brilliant move by them. Great. Let's see. I'll mix it up. Move of the race. I have Lewis Hamilton around outside on turn 1, lap 62.
Yeah.
I think Max was holding second place, and his tires were starting to cool off. Couldn't keep the temps there. Hamilton had been circling, hovering that for several laps. Then on lap 62, Hamilton read that Verstappen was in harvesting mode. Turn 1, went around the outside of there. It was a great move. So great to see Lewis and Max go at it hammer and tongs, and it was good, clean racing, good fun to watch. All right, next award, you got it.
We'll do it live.
Yes,
Stop yelling at Todd.
I agree. Donkey of the race, Paul.
I got to give it to Team McLaren.
Yeah,
not just the tire choice, but everything. When it came after that was a disaster of a race.
I know.
For them.
It was terrible race.
Yeah.
Terrible race.
Zach was happy he was in Indy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just such a bad race. I agree with you. I think you could give it to all 4 teams with their intermediate gamble, but I think chief among them was McLaren.
Oh, no, it all went wrong.
Yeah, it all went wrong. All right, and then finally, drive of the race.
Get in there, Lewis.
You got it. Yep. Drive of the race. Who'd you give it to?
Well, there's no stopping him. It's Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis Hamilton. There is no stopping him. Yeah,
So
that's a good shot.
It was a great weekend for him, just full of confidence, and every session was to the point, and the race, execution was great. He deserved everything he got.
He did. Yeah, it was great. Now, this may be a little bit of
controversy,
Paul, but my drive of the race is George Russell.
Ooh.
It's not an easy
throwing
call.
Of the thing. It was a nice throw. It was long.
It was long. Yeah, you get a good arm on him, does George.
Yeah.
Look, it's not an easy call for me, but it's not consolation prize either. I think Russell generally drove the race of the weekend. He won the sprint qualifying, won the sprint race, produced a last gap pole for the Grand Prix during qualifying. Very impressive. After aborting that first attempt. So he had one shot, boom, on pole, right?
Yeah.
Just impressive. Then proceeded to lead 30 laps into the Grand Prix, wheel-to-wheel battle, holding off an arguably quicker teammate.
Yeah.
One of his finest races so far this season, only to be let down by the car. I just think he had such a great weekend going.
Yeah.
Feel bad for him.
Yeah, I got to say, hats off to Pirelli for being allowed, maybe, but putting a tire that even these qualifying sessions, it's not a one and done situation. I like it that the tires can hold up enough where the driver can make a little difference and maybe correct some of their driving and on the same tire, cool them down and give it another go. I like that.
Yeah, I do
progress in the qualifying.
There was a little bit of strategy in qualifying that wasn't there previously. Mm-hmm. You could stay out, fuel up, stay out, make a run, cool them down, get them up, and run again. And it could catch some people out.
And George showed that you can literally get the fastest lap of the weekend, even on a tire that is two laps old already. So
Mercedes get that car reliable. I don't think we've seen the last of George Russell.
No, I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not too. I think he had a good weekend, and it's not that I'm a big George sycophant or anything. It's just that he needed a good weekend, and he was producing exactly what he needed all weekend long.
Yeah.
So anyway, I feel bad for him. But anyway, all right. Well, that does it for this podcast. You let us know what you think about the Canadian Grand Prix. You can do so. You can go to the parkforme.com.
Oh, yeah. That sounds like a good place to go.
Yeah, it is a good place to go.
I like that place.
Yeah, me too. I go there quite a bit, as a matter of fact. I share it with a lot of people, as a matter of fact. And you can too. If you like the podcast, go over to your favorite player and give us a good review. Tell the world about it. Don't be a gatekeeper. Don't hoard it. Come on, spread the love. Appreciate it. We couldn't and wouldn't do this podcast if it wasn't for our Patreon supporters. Honestly, you guys are the best. And, little lean times there. So a few of you have signed up. Really appreciate it. And there is a reward for doing so. You can support us over there, and you get both the podcast and the video version of this with no commercials in it.
That's lovely.
It is lovely. It is lovely. And it's worth being a supporter, is it not? Come on.
It is. I think so.
Yeah, me too.
Pay for Netflix so you don't get commercials. What's wrong with this?
Yeah, right.
It's at least 100th of the price.
It is. No doubt about it. So anyway, hit the like, subscribe, do all the things you're supposed to do if you watch the podcast. And then what is it, a couple of weeks we'll be back into Monaco.
Yes, Monaco. As I always say, Monaco.
Yes, as you always say.
Me and Derek.
Yeah. That's right. You say Monaco and you say
Controversy.
Paul, sorry about the hammers, buddy.
Oh.
I tried. I know.
Everton.
Yes.
No Everton's fault, but I thought they maybe had I wasn't sure the Hammers could win. They won the game. They did all they could at the end there, but Everton kind of didn't put up the fight against the Spurs. So that's it. It's going to be a tough year next year.
Going to be a tough year being a Hammer.
It is.
Yeah, very
It's
tough.
going to come straight back up, but it's going to be long. Yeah.
Yeah. I got faith in you. You'll come right back.
Thank you.
Yes. So, and then, Paul, where do you guys go next? Harder Racing.
This weekend coming is Detroit. So
Detroit.
Our own little street race.
Yes.
Not quite the Monaco of America. Long Beach is a lot more like that, but it's a fun event. I wouldn't say the track's the best, but the event is cool. It's good. Another sprint, 100-minute race. And then directly after that, the next week we're going to Mid-Ohio with the Hannah Grishams and Greenmeyers in the world to race GT4 race for their race. So 2 weekends in a row coming up. Yep.
Going to be busy. So if you guys are in Mid-Ohio or Detroit, be sure to stop by and say hi to Paul.
Absolutely.
And get your Heart of Racing gear over there and, support the team, man.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, excellent. We'll be back. We'll get Grace's thought on the intermediate tire call next weekend. I'm sure she'll have lots to say about that.
Especially you missing McLaren in the actual notes.
I know. I had it over here in Apple Pages, and then I wanted to put it over in Word, and I didn't move it.
No one cares about that.
Nobody cares about McLaren. Yeah, Zach wasn't even there. He didn't get it. So anyway, sorry about that. But anyway, all right. Well, that does it. We will be back next weekend to do that all over again. And until that time, this is Todd, a.k.a. Negative Camber, saying so long.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. It's not what I feel I've got to prove at all. I don't really want to prove anything. I started as an amateur with no idea or no intention of becoming world champion. I was curious to find out what it was like to drive a car fast, to drive on a certain circuit, to drive a certain type of car.